I always say education will be my dad and my mom in the future. I was born into a new world that my mom never saw before.
As a student and a person, I think that the two strengths that he has are firstly resilience. He has been through a lot, but he also has the gift of perspective. He knows what is important in life. What he has is an understanding of the human struggle.
It's amazing where he is now. Since we were young, I know he can do this.
Thank you for sticking around this afternoon to hear about another student's very interesting journey into study. I'd like to introduce Yaya Tem to come up and talk with you about the journey and struggles that he has had to overcome in order to obtain his degree. I don't want to intrude on what is his story. I think you will find it very inspirational. Okay, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
For somebody like Yai, who has just had to overcome so many obstacles to be able to access education, it is seriously impressive what he has managed to do.
What actually inspired you to pursue an education?
I was inspired by my village chief. He planted a seed deep in my heart. I was born in South Sudan. I grew up in the village of Chir with my mom, my dad, and my sibling. I used to listen to my clan elders in the traditional court. I have a lot of friends, and one of them is Kuala Tim, who was the older in the village than me when I used to go and look after the cow. I was so very happy growing up in my home village. One day in 1987, everything changed.
When soldiers fight, it's often the civilians who suffer the most, and that's certainly been the case in Sudan's long and bloody civil war.
I was sleeping when the village was attacked. All what I could hear was a noise and a gun sound, and I came out and my mom was yelling in Dinka, "Run, Kare, run." The whole village was just full of smoke, and you couldn't tell who is the enemy. There was a hunting down for the boys. Even if you were born the same night as a boy, you will be killed. Everybody ran away. It was chaos. I was terrified and scared. When I lived with my mom, it was an happy time for me. But unfortunately, when the war broke out, I never have that happiness anymore. That was the last time I saw my mom and my dad and all my siblings. It was a horrible situation that no one knew if some of us will make it.
No one can really understand what we have suffered unless you went through what we have been suffered for.
At which age did you leave South Sudan for the first time?
I was 8 years old when I left South Sudan.
8 years old.
8 years.
Wow.
And I have to look for my food by myself. No food. I have to look for the water by myself, and I have to run for my safety at 8 years old, if you could imagine.
When Yai came to the United States, he was with 5 of his relatives who were his roommates at the time. They were very shy, they looked almost malnourished, and they were very, very nervous, but very brave. They had walked across Sudan about 1,000 miles to Ethiopia, and then they stayed in Ethiopia for 2 years, and they went to Kakuma, which is in Kenya, and they lived there for 11 years.
In the camp, you have to live on 2 kilo for 15 days of food, and then you have to share your ration.
Some of us must to drink some other kids' urine to survive.
You can imagine that there is a human being living there.
None of the Lost Boys discussed how difficult it was for them. It was almost as if they just appeared and their past life was just totally erased from them. I don't think that they really wanted to remember.
I was under the attack from the hunger, from thirsty, no water, no food, from the soldiers, from the wild animals. So everything was an enemy to me.
It was so dangerous to pass through those jungles on the way to the refugee camp because you are encountered a lot of wild animals like lion, cheetahs, hyena. It kill a lot of people on the way.
We were just walking, then I was attacked. The hyena bite me on the hip. I fell down and everybody was screaming. When Paul saw me and my leg, I was terrified. He cried. Paul cried because my leg was swelling. I couldn't walk. I think that I will die because infection, because maybe another wild animal will come. Everybody will run away and leave me alive.
I was worried about his wound, but he convinced us, "Why are you crying? I'm okay." I said, "How can you say you're okay? This is terrible. It's a big one."
When my leg was swelling from the wound and I was lying down under the tree, I saw an airplane passing by and I saw the line of smoke in the air, and I said, well, if there is God, then this plane could have just landed down here and helped me and take me to a safer place. But at the end, no one came to rescue me. In 2001, I left Kenya refugee camp called Kakuma, and I went to America. The life at the university in America was overwhelming for me because I was a student, I have a job at nighttime, school in the daytime, and try to put some of my siblings back to school in Africa. Even though I was struggling to learn English, I used to go to a tutor in the library every day. Sometimes when I pronounce a word and no one understands it, then I have to call Mama Karen, and then she have to tell me, oh, you say like this until I learn it.
I met Yai through the International Rescue Committee. He was one of my clients on my grant program that assisted him with his resettlement process. Yai began his studies in criminal justice, which was really amazing because of the language barrier, but he was never concerned about something being too difficult or too challenging.
I graduated in May 11, 2007 with a bachelor degree in criminal justice and criminology and political science. What motivated me to study was my village chief. The chief used to put me under his chair so I can learn how he do the ruling. So he was preparing me to become a chief when he's old. I really love him and I miss him.
Coming from so much injustice and your whole story, escaping Sudan, moving to America, and pursuing education. What made you choose law out of everything you could have?
Law is the one can prevent another injustice, another inhumane, like what happened to me before. So I don't want another person to face what I did.
Coming from Arizona, Yai already had a good foundation to build the rest of his legal studies on.
I officially moved to Australia in 2009, and I enrolled to a juris doctor of law.
Evidence law is a very difficult subject. Yai did evidence law a couple of times, so I would say he was persistent as a student, and he got there in the end. He got there because he was diligent. He doesn't wear his struggle on his sleeve. He is somebody who has just cracked on with life and managed to make the most of every opportunity that he has had. My favorite thing about Yai is that he has the gift of perspective. He has the ability to just intuitively understand what is a real problem and what is something that's just not worth getting wound up about. I have hundreds of students that I've really loved having in class over the years, but Yai might be in my top 10. He's just special.
I walked my 1,000 miles from my home village to Australia today. There's never an easy journey, ever. Everything is struggle. No one from my family who went to high school or finished a university until me.
Before I do that, I forgot to pull your tie. Is it okay if I bring your tie?
Yeah.
He brings a degree of humanity and empathy to the practice of law.
Congratulations. Good.
His success is success for many people who are around Yai.
I'll see you in there.
The entire village is proud about him.
There is just nothing that this man cannot overcome.
You're feeling very good, exciting. The chief used to put me under his chair. I wish he would have been here to see what I done, to see my graduation of what he prepared me for. I want to fulfill his word. I feel like these are my roadmap and his footsteps that I need to follow them until the end.
Juris Doctor, Yai attend.
When that attack happened to my village, my mom called me and said, Yai, run. Today, if I say something to my mom, I'll say, thank you, Mom, for what you told me, saying, run, Yai, you will make it. And I did.
Have you ever been back to Sudan since, or do you ever want to go back?
Yes, I went back in 2009 to see how far it is from Australia. If you move from Australia here to South Sudan, it's approximately 1,000 miles. It's not far away. We could walk it together too.
In the beginning, he talked about returning home to Africa and using his education there.
Budagog, Chago, Chua Baron, Kuar Malan, Lil Dal, Kana Milkedi, Akamoy. I man to Kana Okedi, Kumidadi, Kawang Tediak. Oh, in Bajapol, where the Alavichera were when Jenny Kum Wong Terokudije, I am a pedaret.
How did you heal from what happened?
When you are happy, even though you have a lot of circumstances that happen, you put them aside. And when I learned from my village chief, he inspired me to be resilient